Hello everyone, welcome to the creative text designing section. Here we're gonna learn to make different kind of text effects using layer styles only. Exactly, we are using layer style only, and the first one I'm gonna make that is glass effect. So here I just import an image, or you can choose a gradient or color or even an image as a background. So first we have to select the text tool, then start creating the text. Here I selected a beautiful font called Beautiful Lovers personal use. You can either you can download from here. Let me try to list here so you can directly download from here. So let's make a text. I'm gonna type that's hello, HELLO, using the white color. So that's good color in this background. Then the next is we can make the copy of this layer. Before doing that, we can change the fill value to 0 and create a copy, or even you can just press Ctrl J to make the copy, then keep the original layer on top of the copied one. Then we can start editing in the layer styles, or we can apply some layer styles to make this a glossy effect. So double click on here, then head over to the layer styles. So we have to work with 5 or 6 layer styles here to get exactly a glossy effect, and also we need to work in the copy layer also to get the good result. So the first one is Bevel and Emboss. So the first one we want to work with is Bevel and Emboss. So we learned about Bevel and Emboss already. Actually, the Bevel and Emboss is often considered the most powerful and adaptive tools within Photoshop layer styles. The traditional use of Bevel and Emboss is to make something looks more three-dimensional by adding highlights and shadows to different parts of your layer. And also we have a different uses with Bevel and Emboss. We have a contour and texture sections over here. So the first thing is listed here is the style. I choose an inner bevel. What is the inner bevel? Inner bevel, as I already told you, or I already described you, but here also I'm gonna give a small description about why I'm choosing this, why this value like this, so you'll get a clear idea. Next time you can develop your skills and make your own designs. Actually, the style is this inner bevel is this applies the bevel to the inside of shape you are applying to it. Look at that. Actually, you can see slightly this effect is applied inside the text. When I select this outside bevel, it goes outside. It varies. Then we can select inside because we need the effect inside the text. Then the next thing, that's the technique. Actually, these are not really important. That's we have 2 or 3 options, but let me give a small brief. That's actually the smooth technique. That settings creates a smooth rounded edge bevel. So we need that rounded edge bevel because we need to get a lightning effect in the edges. Then the next thing is depth. What is the depth? We have to give the depth value to 200. Let's change to 200. So what is 200 and the depth? Actually, the depth slider increases the apparent depth of the bevel and emboss. So a lower number creates a lesser visible 3D effects. Higher number creates more dramatic. So I gave 200. That's a little bit higher, not too much. Then okay, it's 200 and its direction is upside. Okay, that's really cool. Or the direction that's supposed to appear to be extruded towards you or away from you. That's up, that text appear to come out of the page. Then the next thing is size. So what is size? Here we have to choose the size to 15 pixels. 15 pixels. Then what is the size? The size slider sets the overall size of the bevel and emboss. Actually, we are given a 15 pixel size. That's good. Then soften is 0. That's a softening, or softening sliders allows to soften. That soften hard edges. That's a bevel, and it softens the bevel and emboss hard edges. So we are not gonna work with this. Okay, this 0. Make it 0. Then the next thing is angle. Its default value is 117, but we have to give this 40 degree. So what is angle? And the altitude we have to give this 50 degree. So what is the angle? The angle and altitude area is where you set the position of your light. The angle sets the horizontal position of your light source, and the altitude sets the vertical or apparent height of your light source. It affects the light of your bevel and emboss. And the next setting is glass contour. So what is a glass contour? So let's make this glass contour valley low. We need this glass contour. The glass contour is the secret to creating great glasses and metal effects. I already said that the glass contour is the secret to create great glasses and metal effects. The glass contour sets the fall off of the shadows and highlights within our bevel and emboss. Select the valley low glass contour for this particular effect. Then the next thing is the highlight mode. So what is the highlight mode? We have to change this highlight mode. Okay, we have to select this highlight mode to linear light. I already did that. It's default. Then the color goes pure white color. Then the shadow mode goes screen, from soft light to screen with a gray color. So actually what it does, the highlight mode drop down is where you set the blend mode for your highlights. Then the shadow mode drop down is where you set the blend mode for your shadows. So that is highlight mode and shadow mode. And the opacity is you're choosing the opacity of the shadow and highlight. Then we can give the highlight mode opacity 100% and shadow mode goes 70%. Okay, that looks good. Now it looks good after we completed the bevel and emboss. So let me tell you once again, we choose inner bevel with a smooth technique. Then depth of the bevel and emboss goes 200%. Then the direction that goes up, that's then the size of this bevel and emboss goes 15 pixels. Then soft and 0. Then the angle of the lightning, this affects lightning only. Then angle and altitude, that's 40 degree and 50 degree respectively. Then the glass contour, this contour is great for glass contour is great for making metal and lighting effects. And we selected valley low. Then the highlight and shadow modes, we selected the highlight color goes white. Then the screen goes gray color because we need a lightning effect. So that's all about the bevel and emboss in making glass effect in Photoshop. So that's all about bevel and emboss in making glass effect in Photoshop. So we can move to the next one. That's we have to work with the stroke values. So select the stroke effect. We have to change something. Actually, these are not really confusing. We are familiar with that because this is one of the most used layer style or effect in Photoshop. So the first one that goes style. So what is style? Okay, the stroke effect is used to add strokes and borders to layers and shapes. So it's useful to create solid color lines, colorful gradients. I already mentioned in the strokes section. So let's work with the strokes first. The first one is size. The size we have to select, that's 1 pixel. So what is size? The size slider simply sets the width of your stroke. That's we can select from 1 pixels to 250, but we don't need a solid color as the stroke because in a glossy effects we didn't see such kind of effect. So set the size to 1 pixel and the position outside, that's it makes the stroke outside of the text. Then the blend mode, that it goes normal blend mode. Then the opacity, we have to select the opacity, that's 50% of the stroke opacity, that goes 50%. Then we have to fill a gradient, not a color. Sometimes you may see a gradient or color, so the color will look like this. Actually this is not pretty good. Then we have to select the gradient and we have to choose a particular gradient. I used a gradient called steel S88. Actually let me try to list here so you can select the gradient. Then you can click on the load and you can select that particular gradient that I'm gonna list here. Then you can click on load to select the gradient. The gradient will, or the gradient I used might look like this, just like this, and you can use that gradient to make the stroke. And the style should be reflected. So what is the reflected style? Then select the reflected one, and the angle of the reflection that goes 90 degree on top. So when I change to here, look at that, it changes the color or reflection. So make it 90 degrees straight. Then the scale value that goes 100%. That's the gradient, gradient, color, reflection, angle, and scale respectively. So we are completed the stroke after bevel and emboss. Then we are moving to the next one, that's inner shadow. The next thing we want to add is inner shadow. Click on inner shadow and let's continue. Actually, the inner shadow is to simulate 3D depth in a 2D image. This is done by creating an offset shadow within a shape to make it look like it is cut out and casting a shadow on the object beneath it. So the first thing we want to change, or we can see that blending mode that's chosen here is overlay. Let's change from overlay to color dodge and make it white color, that's pure white with opacity of 40%. Actually, the blend mode allows you to set the blending mode for your shadow. Actually, this shadow. Then the next thing is angle. The angle spinner and corresponding box allow you to change the apparent angle that the light source comes from. Here also it depends the light. Then we have to change the angle to 110 degree and check the use global light, or okay, check the use global light. Then the distance, that's what's distance, so the distance slider changes the apparent distance between the subject and the background. Then the chalk values, the chalk slider changes fall off of the shadow in a linear fashion. And the size, last one, the size changes the apparent size of the light source by softening the edges of the shadow. So we want to change the distance to 5, then the chalk goes 0, then size goes 5. Then the next thing is the contour. We have to select the linear contour. I already selected this linear one. And the noise value. So what is noise? Noise is a slightly useful tool to give your shadow a gritty feel. We know that the noise used, but we have to make this also 0. Then we are completed 3 things: bevel and emboss, stroke, inner shadow. I hope these are clear. What are the use, why I am doing this. Then we are moving to the next one, that's inner glow. This is, we have to do some couple of settings here. Then we can jump over to the inner glow. We are starting from here. Then head over to the copy layer style. Then click on bevel and emboss. Then let's change the size or the depth of bevel and emboss from 200 to 100. Then the size, we have to change this 25. Then the soften is 0. Then the angle that goes from 40 to 170, and altitude that goes 69. Let's give this 69. If it's not good, we can change this value again. Then the contour value, that's the contour, we have to change the contour from value to this one. Where is that? Give to cone inverted. Then the highlight blend mode that goes, that's linear light, and shadow mode goes soft light. Okay, we have default value. Then the opacity that goes 0. We can change this color to a bright gray, more brighter color. Then the next is actually the next thing is we had to work with the stroke. Choose the stroke. Then the stroke size is 1. Then keep it inside. The stroke is inside. Then we can change the blend mode to overlay. Then the opacity that goes 50. Then the file type is a gradient, that we have to select the same style as 88. Then it's reflected mode, then 90 degree angle and 100 in scale. Then the next thing we have to work with the inner shadow effect. Inner shadow blend mode goes overlay, and the opacity that goes 50%, the color that's pure white, then the angle goes 24 degrees, then the distance and the chalk and the size goes 1, then chalk 0, chalk value goes 0, then size goes 1 respectively, then the contour is linear and the noise is 0. Then the last one is inner glow. This is the last one. Let's select the inner glow. Then the inner glow blend mode that goes from linear burn to multiply. Then the opacity that goes 50%. Then the color, we can select the same gray color, and the size of the inner glow that we have to reduce. Let's check it out because we changed this early. Okay, keep it in a higher value. That's a 62 I chosen here. It's a really high value. Or let's change to 5. Okay, 5 is enough. Then the contour that goes linear, then range is 50, and the jitter that goes 0%. So let's click OK. So this is our glossy effect. We can see a difference in the angle. So let's go back. We got another error because I knew that was error. We can just head over to the Bevel and Emboss, and actually the altitude is the problem. So keep the angle 11 to make this, or to remove that shading. So this is a real method of making a glossy text effect in Photoshop. This is a simple method. We are only using the layer styles. So this is a real or practical use of all the items. So that's why I shown in the first tutorial how it works, how it changes, how it looks like, how it acts. So this is the first one. We are doing a lot of text effects. This is really important for your career or for your learnings. I hope you're clear with this. You can change the values and you can make your own designs with different fonts. Values are pretty suitable for this font and its font size. So you can choose another font and you can make, or you can design your own glass text effect. I hope you're clear. Thank you. We are winding up this section. Thank you. Actually, the inner glow I'm applying is to create a glowing effect in the text. So the first thing here, we want to change the blend mode. So what is the blend mode here? This blend mode allows you to set the blending mode for your inner glow. So let's change the blend mode from multiply to linear burn. Then the opacity value that goes 50%, and the noise goes 0, and we have an option of choosing a solid color and a gradient. Select the solid color and choose the gray color that's we already chosen in stock color. That's choose the gray color. Is it in the stock? No, we chosen in the Bevel and Emboss, so make sure to choose the same color here also. And the noise, okay. Then the technique, that's elements technique. The technique is gives us two different options, that's softer and precise. Softer gives us an inner glow that's more organic and natural looking, so make sure to select the softer technique. Then the source, we have to keep the source, that's edge. So what is the source? Actually, the source button allows you to specify whether you want to inner glow to eliminate from the edges of your shape or from the center of your shape. We need to get the inner glow in the edges, so keep it in the edge. Then the next thing is chalks. Actually, we have to keep the chalk value 0%. The chalk slider changes the fall off of the inner glow in a linear fashion. Then the size goes from 1 to 10. Actually, what the size does here is allows you to increase the inner glow in 1 pixel increments. So let's keep it the size in 10 pixels. Then the next is contour. That's the contour we have to select is linear. It's already selected here. Then the next thing goes range. That's we have to select to 50. It's already selected 50%. That's adjusting the range is similar to changing the chalk. It allows you to control the fall off of your inner glow in almost same way. Then the last one is jitter. So what's jitter? We have to keep the jitter 0% because when we select that, it will make something like grains or bubbles inside the text. So keep it 0%. And we are successfully completed the fourth one, that's the inner glow effect to make a text glossy. Then we are moving to the next one, that's gradient overlay. That's the last one, or otherwise you can also work with the drop shadow, but here I'm not gonna choose the drop shadow because I'm working a black background, so I don't think it's good for a black image to do a drop shadow. So the last one is gradient overlay. So let's select the gradient overlay. Using the gradient overlay with different blend modes can also help you blend items with layers beneath them. So the gradient, I selected the gradient overlay, then the blend mode. So what the blend mode does here, the blend mode is a great thing. The blend mode allows you to set the blending mode for your gradient overlay. I selected multiply blend mode, then the opacity of the blend mode that goes 50%, then the gradient. Here also we have to select a particular gradient. That's click here, then I selected a gradient called aluminum 5. You can download from here. Let me try to list here. Choose the reflected, that's a reflected style, a linear gradient that duplicates itself as a mirror image. So we have to choose the reflected style, and the angle is I chosen here is 90° straight. Then the scale value that goes 100%. Then the angle spinner lets you set the angle for your gradient, and the scale you can alter the start and end point locations of your gradient by adjusting this scale. Actually, I'm just going back to 100%. So we are completed the first section with the layer style. Then we can go back to the copy layer and work with the same layer styles to make it more beautiful. Actually, we are completed the 50% and 50% is waiting, so click OK. Okay, well, we completed the first one, but do you think is this good or not? Is this good? We are 50% away from our target, but is this good? I don't think this is good because I made faults on making this text in the beginning and in some layer styles, so we need to correct that. Let me show you how to correct this, and if I correct, then only you can understand how things will change when I change the values and effects. So let's head over to the layer styles back. Then what are the things we want to change? Actually, this it's similar to a glossy text effect. So what is the problems? The first problem in the bevel and emboss, I chosen too much size. Actually, we don't need 15 pixels as size. We can reduce this up to 4. So look at that, when I change to 4, it changed a lot. From 15 looks like this huge in size, change into 4. So it looks, I think it's looks beautiful now. Then what are the things I did wrong here? Then go to inner shadow. I choose in the shadow, inner shadow distance is 5 pixels and size goes 5. I have to change distance to 1 pixels. Then the size goes 1 pixels too. Then the next thing is we want to change is the inner glow. The size of inner glow is too large. Let me show you the difference. We can zoom in this. Okay, then changing the value to 5. So look at that, it changed a lot. We can zoom out. Then is this 5 is good, is this 5 good? Look at that. When I choose the value, it gives different effects, gives a glossy texture. So we can keep it in 8, or let's go higher values. We can go higher values if you like this, but it's too, actually it's not glossy, it's something different. So we can keep it 8. Okay, we can keep it 8, so we will get a white color cloudy effects or inside the text. So we can keep it 8. So we changed the bevel and emboss size value from 15 pixels to 4. Then the inner shadow value, that's distance and size, goes from 5 to 1. Then the inner glow value, that's the size from 10 to 8. Actually this really matters, the size really matters. Then click OK. Then we have to work with the copy layer next. We can continue in the next section. Thank you.